Ugh. What up, bro?
What's going on?
This is Gun Show Jones.
And this is vasectomy Rogerson Outback.
Steakhouse. I should have let you say your name first and then came out as Gun Show Jones. I feel like I put you on the spot to come up with a crazy name or something.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to happen.
That was my fault. I sprung that little bit on you there.
I'm not totally happy with the name I came up with, but I think, there'll be better ones.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
But actually, this is Justin Berg.
And I'm actually, this is Gun Show Jones.
Yeah.
From now on. Now, this is Vince Davila, but speaking of names, Jennifer just found out that she just got a lineage list of a lot of her great grandparents.
Oh yeah?
I don't know what you would call this guy. He was born in 1706, so like 10 or more generations back.
What did she use for this?
I don't know. Her grandpa sent it to her dad, and her dad was sharing it with her. Her grandpa or something looked. I don't know how they found the information, but they're from Switzerland, and this guy Christian Miller Sr. was born in 1706 in Switzerland. That's as far back as they have the record. But that's a long time ago, man. 313 years ago, this dude. And he lived to be like 70-something. He was like 71 when he died.
He was like very wise elder back then.
Yeah, he's 71 years old in the 1700s. They're like, why aren't you dead yet, Grandpa?
What would life... I think people still say that
to
their grandparents.
Grandfather die.
What would it have been like for you living like when the average age was like 30 and you're like 25 and you're just like,
yeah, you're just like any minute now.
It could literally be any day now.
Yeah, I'm going to wake up dead.
People are just like, oh, happy birthday. You got maybe 5 more years left.
They start shunning you because they're afraid.
They're just like, I'm totally healthy. Yeah. There's like, you have death on you.
Yeah.
You can smell it.
30 years old, just virulent young man.
Just like, what are you talking about? I'm doing jumping jacks.
Now you think about
what are jumping jacks? This is a new thing I thought of. It's going to catch on in the future.
And I used to think about that, the average age being 35, 40 to die at, like in the Middle Ages or whatever, or even younger. And I used to think that when you were 35 back then, you looked like a 90-year-old guy now. You're
like
all
your cells just age super fast.
That's just how fast we aged then.
They were all heavy smokers.
We all died at 35 back then, and you just look like a 90-year-old dude. But really, they were just getting their heads cut off or dying of the plague or falling down a well or getting kicked by a horse or like you didn't die or you were died of a disease or of the flu or pneumonia or you didn't die because you were just old at 35. You just didn't live.
Well, I think of that all the time. I'm like, fuck, I have had influenza like a lot.
Dude, I had pneumonia 7 times as a kid.
7
no
times?
Joke. 7 times.
You for sure would be dead.
Dude, I would have died when I was 6 years old. Even if I was born in like 1907.
Yeah.
Like less than 100 years. More than 100 years ago. Yeah, I would have been dead.
I was born with pneumonia.
Really?
Like I came out with pneumonia.
Holy shit! Yeah, you.
Or not? Maybe not right as I came, but like as soon as I was brought home, I got pneumonia. And I had to go back to the hospital.
I was born with my umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, and my face was purple, and I was like suffocating and dying. And my mom was freaking out, and she said the doctor was like a ninja. He just like swooped me up, grabbed the scalpel, cut the umbilical off my neck, like started slapping the blood out of my throat so I could breathe.
Jeez.
And I just like totally like kept me like made sure I didn't die right there. But even like without a hospital and proper medical care and someone who knew what they were doing, coming out with my umbilical cord around my neck purple like that, already suffocating, and then my throat being blocked with whatever it was, placenta or blood or whatever.
Fuck.
And them having to clear it out. Like, but she said he did it like it was nothing. He's
probably done it 100 times.
I've seen this case a million times.
Yeah.
He just pulled me out, cut the cord, unwrapped it, slapped my back. I started crying. But yeah,
and look at us now.
We would not have. I would not have made it. The Oregon Trail, bro. Dysentery, first day, dead.
I would have killed myself just from how bumpy the ride would have been. I'd be like, fuck this.
Just wet and laid in front of the wagon wheel.
Yeah.
Put your head in the fucking line of the wheel.
We really take a lot for granted just for how things were not even that long ago.
Yeah. Just the good fortune of being born when we were born.
And then obviously, like, our grandkids are gonna look back at us like, how did they fucking manage?
Yeah.
Without this,
Really?
or without that, you know what I mean?
It's gonna be amazing the type of shit our grandkids or our grandkids are gonna look back at us and be like, "You fuckers had it so good, you blew it for us."
That could be it too.
The Earth is 118 degrees in Minnesota in
thought.
December, and yeah, we all have to live in Canada because it's 90 degrees here.
Isn't it crazy about the whole polar vortex thing that's going on?
What is going on with the polar vortex? That sounds absolutely crazy, like a
you've heard
super
of
villain's plot.
Yeah, polar vortex.
Yeah.
You've heard of what's going on in the Midwest though, right? Like how cold it is.
Oh yeah, it's like negative
People
50
are
degrees
dying.
out there. Oh yeah.
A FedEx guy has died,
drops, yeah, outside
trying to
the
like
building,
do something with his tire or something like
Yeah.
that, and he just died while he was doing it because you died.
You can't just sit down and take a breather out in negative 50.
No.
You just don't wake up.
I mean, I'm sure your lungs like crystallize.
Reminds me of Mr. Deeds, the dude
Oh,
that
yeah.
dies on the mountain. Deedsy.
And then in Australia, it's a record-breaking heat.
Yeah.
So it's like you have extreme opposites going on right now.
Climate change, man.
I
Whoever thought I was just reading. Someone commented on something on Reddit the other day and said whoever deemed the term global warming. Whoever deemed the term global warming really fucked us because it just gave every idiot an excuse to be like, look, it's cold. Where's my global warming?
Where's
at?
that global warming I've been hearing
Negative
about?
50 in Chicago. Wish we had global warming on the way. But climate change is what it really is, because it makes, when you disrupt the balance of the climate, you make the extremes more extreme. So the cold is more extreme. The extreme hot is more hot. So
I think they should probably drop the name.
Yeah, global warming should. Climate change is what we need to start. Everyone needs to latch onto that term. It makes a little more sense because then you don't have the motherfucking president of the United States tweeting out that, look, it's cold today, so global warming doesn't exist. And it's like, dude, come on. You had breakfast today. That doesn't mean there's not people starving. Like, it's not.
I mean, it sucks that I don't really like to talk about Trump so much just because it's so overdone. It's so played out.
And I'm exhausted by even.
But really, though, when you see like a tweet or whatever like that about global warming and people are dying, like FedEx guys are dying, a student died waiting for like a ride or something.
Just the fact that it's so normalized for someone in such a prestigious position of power in our country. I mean, the office of the president is something that throughout American history we have respected and revered and have elected people that, you know, we believe were really smart and capable of forming policy. And now it's become so normalized for the office of the presidency to engage in something that to me feels beneath. It's just beneath the office of the president to be tweeting stupid shit that doesn't make any sense.
Besides Barack Obama, he's the first president that's even been in office while tweeting was a thing.
Yeah.
But
did Barack Obama tweet? I mean, I
don't think so.
I don't really remember much from him on Twitter. I'm sure he had a Twitter and stuff, but I don't remember. Obviously, he didn't tweet to the extent Trump does, but maybe he would.
Well, if he ever did tweet, it was probably someone in his cabinet or whatever.
Yeah, it probably wasn't him doing it.
Yeah, someone on the payroll was like in charge of.
He had to have dropped a Black History Month tweet, just because he was black. Like that's
I
the
didn't
first
think
thing
about
that,
it when you
that's
said
the
it,
first
but-
thing that came to my mind. As soon as I said it, I was like, was I just racist?
Well, Morgan Freeman believes that we should cancel out the Black History Month altogether.
I definitely get that mindset
we should have
of it's kind of. It's just a further divide. Like we don't need to, but
He just says, stop talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. I also get people that are into it and that want to have a chance to celebrate because they feel unfairly represented, which is definitely true that in our history classes at school and I don't know so much anymore. Anymore it's different. I guess when we were growing up, there was less representation of black culture and history. It's hard for me. That's something that I would have to think about now and really actually ruminate more on to form an opinion. But I think we have done a lot in the past couple decades to be more inclusive of.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe Black History Month was more necessary before, like 20 years ago, but nowadays maybe it's not as. Maybe the climate is ready for people to stop acknowledging it. Maybe not. Maybe we need to acknowledge it even more. I don't know. It's hard to say. Race relations are so fucking crazy right now.
Well, that's the thing about all the extreme, and I guess I would call it left, even though I'm sure there are people on the right that feel the same way. But, you know, all the SJW stuff is pretty much all left for the most part. And it's a bunch of craziness and things are getting weird and all that. But, like, at the same time, that sort of thing has to happen.
Yeah.
Like, the pendulum just has to swing very far to one side to get something to move in the right direction. Right. Even though when it comes back, it'll probably equal out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of these issues will be dropped. People will stop being so ridiculous.
And that's what kind of the good thing about Trump being in office and bringing to light and bringing to the stage of public consciousness the racism is like, we implemented Black History Month and we have been doing more to cover, you know, Black history in schools and things like that and in media representation. But look, this racism isn't gone. You know, there are still people with really inflammatory opinions and ideas. They felt that they didn't have a voice and that they would be too ridiculed by most of mainstream society. But then you have someone who starts to empower people with those kind of opinions to feel like, oh, look, there's someone in office who is not denouncing Nazis in Charlottesville. He's not denouncing these kids, these tiki torch kids walking through the campus. So, you know, they feel a little more empowered to come out and then people like I guess even like myself, I didn't think racism was gone because I experienced a ton of racism when I moved to Detroit in Michigan in the Midwest and lived in a city where there is still a lot of racial tension, even if to each other's faces, white and blacks and Mexican and Native American and everyone is getting along. Behind closed doors, I heard a lot of racist shit when I lived out there. So I knew it wasn't gone, but I just didn't realize until the political climate now, like really how much people were still holding on to those type of bigotry and stuff.
Do you think that you saw so much of that in Detroit because there's so much more of a mix?
I definitely think that's part of it. I don't really, it's hard for me to account for why it was the way it was because I saw such a difference of the way people acted to each other's face and the way they acted when they thought no one was listening.
Oh, yeah. You know? Of course. Well, that's
like,
everywhere.
It was in good fun sometimes to kind of rag on each other for certain stereotypical things.
Yeah.
But that was jokingly to each other's face. But then, I mean, you had people saying nigger like in behind closed doors about people that they were just talking and laughing and pretending to be friends with. And it's just like
when I see stuff like
that. And that shit would like shock me because I grew up out here in going to public school system here in Gresham and I had black friends and stuff, but we just didn't like, I don't know, we weren't racist like that.
Like not even joking.
Yeah, we didn't like talk. I didn't talk about my black friends behind closed doors like, you know, racist
that would be
shit.
Crazy.
Yeah, it would be crazy.
Crazy.
And then I moved.
How would you actually be friends with them?
And then I moved to Detroit, and some of the people that I would like hang around with or had contact with would go out drinking at the bars with and stuff. They would have friends that were black or Mexican or whatever, and behind like when it was just me and them, they would talk shit about black people steal shit or Mexicans. The Mexican guy I work with, whatever, his family is, there's 40 of them here and they're all illegal immigrants and shit like that. And it's just like, dude, you like you do not act that way to Hector's face. Like, why are you saying that shit to me behind closed doors?
Yeah, it's like if you're
it was shocking to me. It was a culture shock, big time to me.
If you don't have the balls to be outright racist to someone's face, then just shut the fuck up.
There's no respect for that type of shit.
That's the worst.
But it's like, do you really why are you being edgy to me? Why are you saying these things to me? Did he really believe the things he was saying? Do you really believe that racist stuff, or was he just trying to get a rise out of me? Was he being edgy? Was he trying to be funny? I just don't really understand the whole thing. But it was an eye opener for me, and I think the whole political, I think like you said, the pendulum swinging. We had the SJW, the pendulum swung really hard that way with the SJW thing, and South Park made the PC police guy, and it's like a total perfect parody of that. that shift in public opinion towards being overly politically correct. And I just feel like the whole climate right now is the pendulum swinging back in the other direction.
Yeah.
And it's the people who felt silenced and who felt like their opinions were not okay to bring out into the public. Now we've just swung the pendulum over to that side where there's a lot of, and the whole immigration debate, the whole inflammatory thing about the wall, which has cooled down a little bit since the government reopened again.
Is it going to stay reopened? Because I read that it was just going to be 3 weeks.
3 weeks, and they were going to discuss the topic of the wall and the immigration funding, and then they were going to... I just can't see him shutting it down again. How could, after 3 weeks, he's like, they're still not going to fund my wall, I'm going to shut it... I just can't see that. I can't see that happening, but who fucking knows?
Well, I don't know much about Watergate and Nixon. That's something I think about a lot, and just for some reason haven't like watched any documentaries or anything. But I think I will, because I mean, who was the most controversial or hated president since Nixon? I mean, it's got to be Trump.
Absolutely,
they're probably the only comparable ones.
Yeah,
and the shit that he's doing or has done is like miles ahead in how bad it is compared to what Nixon did. Nixon did like the one thing.
Yeah, he
Trump,
tape recorded some stuff in a
that's
hotel
like a
or
Tuesday
something.
for Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that he's like, I'm going to get the Mexicans to pay for it. Like, that's the most outlandish thing he could possibly want.
It seemed so obvious to me, to anyone with any reasoning skills, that obviously Mexico was never gonna pay for a wall on the border.
Why would he have even said that?
Yeah,
like, how could he in a right mind, someone who's a leader of a country should not be thinking that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
And plus, if the government
and then
shut
for
down,
him to say it, and then for 1 million people to be like, yeah, he's right, they will pay for a wall. Like, why do you think that that's true? Just reason a little bit further down that tread of logic and realize that that's insane, you know? But then you have people explaining for him and apologizing for him and saying, oh, well, he didn't mean Mexico would literally write us a comically large check for that wall, you idiots. Mexico will pay for the wall through the renegotiation of the NAFTA treaty that Trump has done, and so the tariffs will eventually end up getting us so much money from and it's like, you just made all that up to try to justify still supporting someone who lied to you, because it's easier for you to continue fooling yourself than to admit that you've been fooled. That's
the thing, is his pride is just unmatched.
Yeah,
like the government shutdown is like a perfect example of his pride,
dude.
He's the leader of the country. That's his job.
And he has no shame, and he'll lie, and he'll never stop.
And when your country has no government, I'd say you're not fulfilling your job description.
Right.
Like you're the captain of the government, and there's no government.
Right. Where you at?
You're failing.
Yeah, 100%.
You're getting an F.
He said that. He tweeted that about Obama. When the government was shut down during the Obama administration because they were trying to secure funding for Medicare for all or whatever, Obamacare, which it ended up being dubbed, which that's a whole nother fucking story in itself. When the government was shut down under Obama, Trump was tweeting, if the government shut down, it's the president's fault. He should take full responsibility. If the president of a company is failing, it's the president's responsibility.
Right.
And now he's in the same situation. And he even said, when the government was first shut down, he said, and is recorded saying, I will take responsibility for this shutdown. And then a couple weeks later, he's shifting blame to the Democrats. The Democratic shutdown, they started calling it. He's tweeting out the Democratic shutdown.
It's their
I'm
fault.
talking to people in my life that I, talk politics with every once in a while, who I don't always agree with, but it's interesting to me to hear their opinion, who are telling me, oh, it's Nancy Pelosi that's doing it. It's her fault. The government's still shut down.
Because she won't bend to it.
Yeah, because she won't. Yeah, it's her. She's the one running all these games. She doesn't want to introduce a bill to give back pay to the Coast Guard. Fuck, man. I'm tripping all over my tongue
today. The Ghost
today.
Guard.
Dude, if we had a ghost guard,
We must protect.
Okay.
Oh, are they ghosts that protect us, or are we protecting us against
let's
ghosts?
figure this out and let's pitch it to Trump. He already brought Space Force.
I bet there are some ghosts
they're
that
putting
come over to help us against the other ghosts because they know how bad they are
Dude,
and how powerful they are.
That slip of the tongue just stumbled us onto a golden
Well,
idea.
I mean, let's talk
the
about
Ghost
it.
Guard.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Ghost Guard
So,
would be a cool name for anything.
I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is that they are guarding us from ghosts, but maybe they're also ghosts. So
yeah, I think like it's a symbiotic relationship of ghosts and people.
Yeah, and they're guarding us from other ghosts, bad ghosts.
Yeah.
Cool.
This could be an HBO show.
Are we gonna pay them? If the government shut down, are we gonna introduce a bill to pay them back pay?
Are we gonna pay the ghosts?
Nancy Pelosi, are you gonna pay the ghosts or not? This is your fault.
Well, I don't think ghosts have a need for money
That's true.
because
What do they need? What can we?
their
pay 'em?
lives are rich. They can do whatever they want.
Spiritually.
Yeah, spiritually. They're not religious. They're just spiritual.
Yeah, it's just funny that he'll say Obama needs to take responsibility for the shutdown. Then when he shuts the government down, Trump says, I'll take responsibility. Then 2 weeks later, the conversation has shifted to him saying, no, it's the Democratic shutdown. They won't give me $5 billion to build a fucking concrete wall that no one goddamn wants anyway. So it's the Democrats' fault. Even down on the border, there's border officials in border towns. There's a sheriff in Texas who is the sheriff of the county that shares the largest, length of border with Mexico of any county, and he's like, there's no border crisis. We don't want a concrete wall. If anything, we need more agents, more fencing, more drones, more cameras, more money for salaries, things like that. We don't need a concrete wall.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wish I knew everything about this situation, but I don't think it's possible to know everything about it because there's going to be information that you just don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just from an outside perspective, knowing as much as I do about it, a wall just immediately seems like an archaic
It's like a
thing to
cart,
do.
and it's going to say Acme on the side of it. It's going to be the fucking U.S. Acme wall, and the Wile E. Coyote's going to be up on top looking for roadrunners.
Animaniacs.
Yeah. It does. It seems cartoonishly archaic, it's going to be an old-timey black and white picture of these guys putting a concrete wall up between America and Mexico, and it's like a 1950s voiceover. And here we see the American people so industriously building their wall to keep the Browns out of the country. What a great deed they've done.
The Browns. I wonder how, the founding father, type guys, you know who they are. If
Thomas Jefferson.
If you could bring them here and look at this situation,
George Washington.
and you somehow taught them how to not be as racist as they were.
Yeah.
And just okay, now that you're not racist, what do you think about this situation? If race wasn't a part of it.
Yeah.
Because in their eyes, they'd see themselves in the Mexican people that are trying to come over here because they're like, well, I can't really tell them that they're being bad because that's exactly what we did.
This is the reason we came here to this place.
And actually, when we came here, we slaughtered everyone that was here.
Yeah.
They're not really doing that. They're just trying to live here.
Yeah, they're not coming over the wall trying to murder you guys, trying to give you diseases that you've never heard of before.
And I don't know, how it would affect jobs and all that. I'm not an economist. I don't really understand or know enough about to judge whether or not if it would be worse or good, if more of them came over just easily, if we just allowed them.
Yeah.
I don't know what would happen to the economy, but I don't know. It just seems like in taking the kids away from their parents and most of those kids are not going to see them again.
Dude, that type of stuff is just super crazy.
That's just inhumane,
It's draconian. It reminds me of the concentration camps from Pearl Harbor. Not concentration camps. We don't call them that here in America. What did we call them? Internment camps. Yeah. And it's only under this administration that they've started doing this. The ICE agents and the Border Patrol agents have different orders than they used to have. They're treating people differently than the policy used to allow them to treat them. I guess, I don't know if it was just for Portland police, if it was a Portland measure, if it was for all of Oregon, but we voted so that they're not allowed to use taxpayer funds from the state of Oregon to help. Like ICE is not allowed to get funding or help from local law enforcement to do raids or arrests or anything. So there was a constitutional amendment or something, some kind of amendment to the legislation here in Oregon, and it was up for a vote to either a yes vote would allow state funding, tax funding, and local law enforcement to have to work with ICE and follow ICE procedures as far as deportation raids and arrests and profiling arrests and stuff.
Yeah.
Or a no vote would mean that local law enforcement does not have to follow ICE procedure or federal procedure and doesn't have to assist ICE in deportation raids or immigration arrests.
So
And
ICE is a government
ICE is
funded,
federal. ICE is federally funded,
but they're not a part of the
there's
local
not
law
state
enforcement.
law enforcement or local. It's not Portland Police. It's not state sheriff. It's federally funded.
Are they like the Coast Guard?
not
sort of
quite.
situation?
I don't know. Maybe I don't really know much about the Coast Guard.
I mean, not the same principles, but
Right.
just like the way that
they get their
operates.
funding
Yeah.
and stuff. I'm not really sure. I just know that it's a federal program, so they're not state unless certain, like there are some states, I'm sure, maybe Arizona, maybe Texas, maybe others that do share some funding, and I think local law enforcement here in Oregon does work with ICE, but we voted no to them having to follow federal ICE procedure in dealing with immigration arrests and deportation cases and raids, rather than us having to work with ICE and share resources, and ICE being able to use taxpayer money from the state of Oregon to fund their activities. So I'm really happy that we voted no, because I don't want state taxes and local law enforcement in Oregon to be following the same policies that ICE uses. They're deporting and arresting people basically just on they see someone, a Mexican, they're questioning, possibly arresting, possibly deporting citizens or illegal immigrants or people that maybe have been here for years, have families here. They've been here 10 years, They've been working jobs and paying taxes in America for 10 years just because it's unfortunate that they didn't get their citizenship, that they didn't follow the right channels, but the channels to get citizenship in America are not necessarily simple procedure.
And isn't one of our codes, give me you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor?
Yeah, like that's...
To rewrite everything?
To me, yeah, like the American way, we have an excess, and it's our duty to share and to help those less fortunate than us. It's absolutely our privilege. We should be glad to help people seeking asylum, people coming from countries that have been ravaged by, drug trade or fucking America Con, us, Nicaragua and Chile and Colombia and all these places where we've had wars and contras and installed puppet governments in order to shape policy in favor towards us so we can get their resources and their money, and then we're centralizing power and wealth into the top. Same thing that's happening here in America, centralizing the power and wealth into a small amount of people at the top of the Nicaraguan government so that the regular citizens have nothing, and they're farmers and they're poor and they're sick and they have no way really to survive, and they're getting shot up on their lands by militias trying to seize their resources for themselves. And they're coming to America saying, like, look, if we go home, we're going to be killed, or we're not going to survive because we have nothing. You guys have a lot of extra shit that you're not using. Like, can we come in?
We could feed every immigrant and homeless person 12 times over just with the dumpster outside of an Olive Garden.
Right, for real.
Because of how much shit they throw away.
And we lock it and make
perfectly good food.
Yeah,
lock it up, throw it in the trash.
The amount of grocery stores and fast food places that just throw away perfectly good food and stuff.
I mean, fuck, I'm never starving, and I eat bananas that are pretty much black.
Right. But these are all...
And I'm fine with that.
These are all symptoms to me of the mismanagement of the capitalist system. We have, over the last 50, 60 years, we have made America really wealthy and prosperous in a lot of ways. But just because an impoverished person in America has it better than an impoverished person in another country, like middle-class Americans have it better than upper class people in other countries. We have just the access to the food and prosperity that we have is unprecedented. And then we still have people starving and dying in the street. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know I know we're getting updated on, students that die in the cold and FedEx drivers that die in the cold, but how many motherfucking homeless people have died?
Right. And then we use that as an excuse not to let immigrants in, which is crazy to me.
Look, we can't take care of them.
We're not even taking care of our own. It's like, do you want to take care of them? Will you vote on bills to help the homeless as well? Or do you hate the homeless and immigrants and you're just using homeless Americans as a shield to not let immigrants in?
Well, and I just feel like in regards to the wastefulness and the abundance and the excess, I mean, I know they're like sheiks that have just trillions of dollars.
Right.
And, they got their own thing going on over there.
Right.
But as far as like on average, I think we have the most wealthy people in the world, right? Like we have many that are,
I think so, that
above
are
average
millionaires or multimillionaires or billionaires or
like,
whatever.
Like Jeff Bezos.
Or Bill Gates has 80 billion.
He has 80 billion?
That's his net worth, 80 billion.
Well, I heard Jeff Bezos has around 140 billion.
So Bill Gates could give 80,000 people $1 million.
Because
Jeff
first of
Bezos
all,
could give 140,000 people $1 million. I mean, I guess it's not all liquid assets. It doesn't actually pencil out to Jeff Bezos can't go to the bank and withdraw $140 billion, but
he owns it.
His assets and his potential to make money is valued at that much. But it's absolutely absurd.
I mean, I don't know how I would sleep at night without knowing that I have that much wealth.
Dude, I'd be driving
just
around
for
town
myself,
just with a leaf blower filled with hundreds spewing money everywhere. Like,
I just can't help but feel like people with that amount of money should be required by law to donate, like every so often to places where we need it the most.
Right.
Like bad neighborhoods, like really poor neighborhoods and homeless and
infrastructure
education
for roads and
all of that. I mean, there's no
education
fucking reason
for
why
people,
one person should have that much.
No, none.
And I get that we're a capitalist society, and he worked for that money. Like he came up with an idea, he deserves it. He's an entrepreneur, and he built something from the ground up. And
I get that.
You get what you get,
that
and
sentiment.
you deserve it.
I get that sentiment too.
But when you have that much,
but no, he did not work 140 billion times harder than everyone else.
No, of course.
I don't
not.
care how hard you worked. I don't care how good of an idea you had. It's not worth that much. It's not. It's nothing is.
Even if I came up with a great idea and someone was like, "I love this idea. We'll give you $137 billion for this."
Yeah.
I'd be like, you can give me less than that.
Yeah, I feel like you guys
you really don't have to give me that much.
Yeah, that's a little more
okay.
than Bill Gates has pledged and is dedicated to his $80 billion fortune is mostly going to charities and foundations and things. And
well, that's cute.
He's really good. He's a philanthropist. He's very good he's fucking a superhero in Africa. I mean, he's been curing malaria and trying to get clean drinking water to countries there for the last 25 years. He's a humanitarian. He's the type of person who you want to have that much money.
I would love it so much if he went to Africa while he was doing all that stuff. He was wearing a superhero
he's
outfit, just walking around
pouring water into people's
just
mouths.
not addressing it. Just like what he could get a sick superhero outfit.
He could.
Oh my god.
Yes, he could have an actual Iron Man suit.
Have you seen the latest videos of the jetpack that they've been developing?
No.
It's getting really good.
Really?
Yeah, like it's easily controlled.
Dude, our
you
segues are second to none. That was amazing.
Yeah, we have the best segues.
But so you can actually control the flight, control the direction.
Yeah, you can.
How long is the flight? It's got to be pretty short.
I mean, yeah, it's probably not. You can't just consistently fly like from one coast to the next.
What is the propulsion powered by? Is it?
I believe it's like a leaf blower type engine.
Like air pressure, air pneumatic, like it's blowing air out.
It seemed like that. It didn't seem like it was like blowing a bunch of fire out the bottom.
Yeah, I've seen those ones, the hydro pack ones, where they're out on the water.
Those look so
that
fun.
Looks amazing, dude. That looks so.
You could
sick.
just go nuts.
Yeah, dude, it looks.
And you'll just crash into the water.
Just like the feeling of it looks amazing. Did you see the guys that landed in the plane on the wingsuits? They dove off of a mountain with wingsuits on,
like and a squirrel and
wingsuits? Yeah, and they're flying down like the side of the mountain on their wingsuit,
which is crazy.
And of course they're probably wearing red. I'm pretty sure they're wearing Red Bull shit. It was a Red Bull thing. but the plane is like a small prop plane, just flew in front of them and then leveled out with them, and they flew in behind the plane and then just like literally tossed their bodies into and landed inside the plane. They flew off a fucking mountain and landed in a plane that was flying in front of them.
Meanwhile, on Earth,
yeah, dude, we're doing that shit out here.
That's so ridiculous.
It was so cool to watch.
How do you get good at that?
Yeah, how do you even practice
like,
that?
how are you like, all right, I'm a first timer, but I feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump off this
there's no real
mountain.
There's no practicing landing in a prop plane. Like, they could have easily gotten shredded into little pieces and killed everyone.
Those guys that do that shit and they get like really close to the ground, down like a really steep mountain that goes for like miles, and they're just like almost skidding the ground with their belly buttons. Yeah. And they're like flying in between stuff. I'm just amazing. Like, what else could you be doing?
If you haven't seen this before, look up wingsuits. Wingsuit flying.
Wild. In fact, I might look it up.
Wingsuit parachuting. What do they call them? Squirrel suits?
I think they're called flying squirrel suits.
Yeah. It makes... God, we're not that good at naming shit sometimes.
Well, we're pretty much on the money with everything. And even if it's not called that, like, you get what it looks like.
Yeah, it does look exactly.
If you've seen a flying squirrel, you know what? Look up flying squirrels.
Those are fun too.
They're pretty
terrible
crazy.
Pets. People want to get them as pets because they look really cool and they seem really cute and sweet, but they're like really territorial, very energetic. Need a very specific environment to be not out of their mind.
Well, think about how tweaked out a squirrel is.
Yeah, and then and then it can fly. And then you put it in, and then you bring it in your house.
Or flaps.
And he's just like, this isn't where I belong. There's no trees in here. This is 8 feet tall. I can't.
Imagine if squirrels were the only threat to our civilization. Like
that was
were
the next thing on the food chain.
Not dolphins, not chimps.
They would have to be
squirrels.
really smart, because raccoons, I feel like, would be
shifty.
their next.
Raccoons are going to beat everyone. I think raccoons are going to dominate.
I think
world.
episode
not
1.
AI.
I think we were on this on episode 1. Somehow we got to raccoons, and
they're so interesting.
Dude, they are. Cora and I, my dog Cora, treed one the other night in our backyard. I was walking Cora, and on the way home, she started, like right outside our house, she started pulling on the lead like really hard with her hackles raised, freaking out. And I was looking around trying to figure out what she was after, and I saw the raccoon in front of my brother's car, and it saw us with his little beady eyes, turn around, and it looked like a big old fat sucker, turned around and was running away. And I let Cora off, and we chased it into the backyard, and it ran up in this tree. And when I got the flashlight and was looking at it in the tree, it looked like a little baby. It was just tiny. But when it was waddling on the ground, its fur is probably all puffed up. It looked fat as hell.
Some of them can get real
they puff their hair up too when they're like aggravated or they're trying to look menacing. Yeah, they puff up to look bigger. But we have chickens in the backyard, man, and they've already gotten 2 of our chickens, and they tried to get another one. Yeah, they ripped the chicken's head off. They pulled the chicken's head through the chicken wire of the enclosure. So like the chicken's body it couldn't pull the chicken all the way through the hole in the chicken wire, but it was able to get the chicken's head through. So that raccoon must have been sitting out the side of the fence, reached in, grabbed the chicken's head, and tried to pull it through the chicken wire and just yanked its head off.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That is brutal.
Little fuckers, man.
Yeah, a few years ago, I was running outside on my way to have like a nighttime jog, and there was a pretty big, decent-sized raccoon in my driveway, like as I was walking out the front door.
Yeah.
And
they're scary, man.
I didn't see it, and I was walking past it, and then I heard it hiss at me really loud, and it was like geared up. It looked like it was about to pounce on me.
Yeah.
And it hissed at me, and I turned around and I didn't even think about it. I just hissed back at it. I was like, and it sort of stared at me just like, I didn't expect you to do that.
What a great fucking reaction, dude. I probably would have screamed and jumped and ran as soon as I saw it. You just...
I mean, I was obviously like, my adrenaline was going, and I just hissed at it.
Yeah.
Like, I just hissed back.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you think about it, I could just kick a raccoon down the street. Like,
when I think about it, yeah. But then I think more about it, and I'm like, okay, if I rear back, go to kick the raccoon, and it just latches onto my leg, it's just like, gotcha, bitch. Runs up my leg and just starts with his little razor teeth and claws shredding up my face.
I mean, you could go to kick it and just sidestep you and sweep the leg and then eat your face.
Or just sidestep, jump right onto your chest.
Yeah.
Start giving you the combo punches.
Oh, man. I mean, they can make fists.
Yeah.
Fists are for punching.
Couldn't. I
fisting.
guess a raccoon punch couldn't actually hurt that much. A bite would definitely be way worse.
Yeah, I'd rather get punched by a raccoon than bitten.
Their little tiny hands, little bony hands.
I mean, and they still carry rabies, right?
Yeah, that's disgusting and horrifying.
It sucks. I would really love to domesticate a raccoon.
Yeah, I've seen videos
Yeah.
of little pet raccoons that look really cute and sweet. Their teeth are just so sharp. It's terrifying.
But
So
even
sharp.
with a dog, you know, look how far we've come with dogs in our relationships. Like,
Yeah.
you can pretty much trust your own dog no matter what.
Yeah,
For the most part.
right.
But anything else, like, you can't even fully trust a cat.
Right, or like a ferret.
Let
or-
alone a
Let alone
raccoon.
a raccoon, yeah.
Because, yeah, they can be nice and tempered and calm and stuff, but then they're still a wild animal. Like, if they
Yeah.
feel like popping off, it's gonna go down.
Right.
And you don't want that.
No. Not with the raccoon, I don't. I don't know why I even chased that one with Cora.
Cora would probably
Cora would
murder a
Fuck
raccoon.
up a raccoon, but
My dog
she would
get
take
murdered by a raccoon.
she would take some hits though. I know she would. Raccoons are no joke. She's a pit bull, but she ain't big. She's only 45 pounds. So she would win, I think, but
I
she
doubt
would-
any raccoons get up to 45 pounds.
Fuck no. Well,
Maybe close.
Maybe in a domesticated raccoon.
Yeah.
But
There
that would
really
be-
are some
dude. That
heifers,
would
though.
be a huge. I've seen some big ones, but like I said, their fur is a lot of it. I bet it only weighs 25, 30 pounds, but it's
It's probably because they're getting in that Olive
even
Garden
25
trash
pounds
outside.
enough to feed all of America.
Where you're here, your family. They really mean that, even if you're a raccoon.
But yeah,
Except if you're homeless. If you're homeless, get the fuck out.
Yeah, or a brown raccoon.
Ooh, don't even talk about it.
We build walls around those ones. What are you getting into on your phone over
All
there?
right,
What
I'm
do we-
sorry.
It's poop
You said-
again.
you said-
it's poop again.
poop
I
again.
knew it. I knew it. As
You
soon as
said you had a poop
apologized.
story last time.
I do have a fucking poop story.
Are you going to tell it?
I can tell the poop story, yes.
Okay, well, first, let me just say, apparently Kim Jong-un, who he himself does not poop,
Yeah, no butthole.
but he's requesting or demanding, in his case,
Yeah, there's no request from him. There's only
200 pounds of poop from his citizens every, I want to say day, but that sounds insane. Anyways, he's requiring that every North Korean citizen give him their poop so that they can use it for manure to grow crops.
He's just like 200 pounds per person. He's like, that's how much people poop, right? Because he doesn't poop himself.
Yeah, 200 pounds of human manure a day for fertilizer.
Wait, not per person, right? But from everyone to collectively. Human
Every
shit.
citizen to turn over an impossible 200 pounds of human manure.
That's how disconnected he is
Yeah.
from pooping. He doesn't even. He's like 200 pounds seems like about how much a person would poop a day, right?
He's like, I don't know.
I've never pooped. I don't have a butthole. How would I know?
You probably poop the weight of a full-grown man.
Yeah, at least
day.
a day. Well, he's thinking they do more than that because he's only asking for 200 pounds.
God, if you're constipated.
He's like, just give me 20% of the poop you poop a day, so about 200 pounds.
If you're constipated, you might get executed.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
human shit isn't even good fertilizer.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Why
I
do they?
think that's
Why does
we
he?
don't use it?
Yeah, it's bad. It's not even. We
It's
don't.
full of Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's full of toxins that are not good for the soil. Horse shit, cow shit, chicken shit, that's good fertilizer because they eat grass and bugs and stuff that actually nutrients that are going to be beneficial to the soil. Whereas we eat fucking bacon and nitrates and shit that gives you cancer. You spread our shit on the soil and everything dies around it. Like I want to look
Cancer
at,
poop.
Like what are they feeding North Koreans that their poop is going to be good fertilizer?
I don't know. I can't even. And in a lot of ways, I know no one would rather have Kim Jong-un over Trump, but in a lot of ways, they have a lot of similarities with like their mode of thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just completely asinine.
Just how
like,
can you say that? How
yeah,
can you think
doesn't
that?
make any
Really, you
sense
think
what you're
this
saying.
is gonna happen?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Anyways, that's the poop. Oh, one more poop related
All right,
topic.
and then I'll tell my poop story, and then we won't say poop again.
Then there's no more poop. There was a man on a flight, a very overweight man, which I only say that because it does make it worse. On a plane that was screaming the entire flight for the flight attendants to wipe his ass for him. He refused to wipe his ass and refused to stop yelling until one of the flight attendants wiped his booty.
Really?
Yeah.
How old was he? Well,
He's
you
old.
said
He
man.
had like white hair.
You said man. Okay. Damn, that is nuts. Screaming? Like,
yeah.
That's a tough flight to be on. Did someone do it?
Yeah,
No.
someone did it.
No.
Probably because they were just like, I just need this guy to
No.
stop.
That's so sad to me that the person that gets anxious enough, has enough stress about it that they finally take it on as their responsibility, and they're just like, oh, fine, I'll wipe his ass so that everyone doesn't have to continue suffering through this person screaming.
Whoever
sucks.
did that should get like a free
Can we
ticket
get
anywhere she wants.
Can we get a fucking GoFundMe going for this person?
Yeah,
like
I mean, she should
that
be
lady from
rewarded
the
for
Fire Festival documentary that paid all the workers out of her own money. They started a GoFundMe for her for like $160,000 or something.
Oh, really?
The chick with the restaurant, the lady that like spent her life savings to pay her employees, the catering company that fed a lot of the guests, the workers and the guests when they did show up. This lady like went all out and went into her own life savings and basically bankrupted herself trying to pay for this and never got paid, obviously, because the people that put the thing on were a bunch of fucking scam artists.
And Ja Rule, man.
What the fuck? What you doing, Ja?
What's his problem?
What you doing, Ja?
Holla, holla.
But yeah, people after they saw the documentaries, they started a GoFundMe for her and raised like a shit ton of money for her. So the lady who, I don't know why I thought it was a lady that was the flight attendant that wiped his ass. Probably because they're kinder souls, because a man would never do it, because a lady is gentle and sweet and took one for the fucking team and wiped this screaming old man's ass. Let's get a GoFundMe going for this lady, man.
There really should be.
She should never have to wipe her own ass again.
Hey, that's a good point.
We need to get someone to wipe her ass for her for the rest of her life.
What if when they got back and she got back to her, her home airport after like the whole shift or whatever, and they're like, I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to let you go. We don't represent anyone that wipes butts.
Yeah,
on a plane.
We don't negotiate with terrorists. You gave in to his demands on the flight. We don't negotiate with terrorists. We have a very strict anti-terrorism policy on our flights since 9/11.
You just don't give us a good image when you're out there wiping butts.
You did sign the poop clause. So
poop clause.
The poop clause
guy
in the
looked
contract.
like Santa Claus.
Yeah. The poop clause in the contract states that you will not touch a passenger's poop under duress of the passenger.
He's just like, you have no idea what I go through every year. You wipe my butt. You wipe my butt.
So yeah, my poop story does have to do with wiping butts.
You can tell it. You don't have to tell it. We can.
I want to tell it. I'm excited to tell. I think, to me, it's hilarious, and I can't think about the memory without smiling. And it's also kind of sad because I don't know if I mentioned it before, but it is involving my dying father who did pass away and who died. It's okay to say that. He didn't pass away. He died. That's fine. Yeah. He dead now. He gone. Yeah, I was in 2010 or 11. I'm so terrible. I can't even remember the date. It was in February. I think it was in 2010. But it's kind of sad because it involves him after he'd had a couple strokes. But to me, it's hilarious. So I like to tell the story, and I hope people can. I hope the worst part for me is I've told this story to people before, or told people funny stories about him, and then they're just like, "Man, I'm so sorry you had to do that." And it's like, don't apologize to me. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to tell you this because to me it's funny. Like, this is a little bit of humor that I pulled out of a terrible situation. So don't apologize for this one.
Which is something that you kind of have to do.
Yeah. Without further ado, the story of my father and I and me cleaning up his poo-poos. So my dad had multiple strokes. He was in really bad health from a life hard-lived of drug abuse and alcohol, and he had diabetes and kidney failure, and he was doing heroin, and he was young when he died, 55. But he had a couple strokes and was incapacitated, couldn't move most of his body. A lot of time wasn't sure if he understood what was going on. Obviously, he couldn't bathe himself. He couldn't wipe his ass. He couldn't walk to get to the toilet. He had use of one of his arms, but we had always had this big mitten, this big glove that was just a padded, looked like a boxing glove over it, because if we didn't have that over his arm, he would constantly pull his dialysis ports out of his chest or try to pull like the stents out of it, or his feeding tube out of his stomach, because we had to feed him through the feeding tube.
Oh, wow.
So we had to keep this thing on him, and he would always try to pull it off of himself, always try to bite it off, always try to bite the Velcro off. So this was fairly early on that this happened in getting him home because he was in Medicare. He was in a nursing, like a Medicaid home for a while, but the place was a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
And so his girlfriend, God, why can't I think of her name right now?
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Not Sarah. It's not Catherine Zeta-Jones. She already split up with him a little while before
She's
that.
going after this.
Yeah. God, I can't think of her name, but it started with an S. No, Rachel. Rachel was her name. Anyway, her and I got him out of the nursing home and the family. My memory's not totally clear on how it happened, but we all banded together, the family and I and his girlfriend, to get him out of this Medicaid home because they were leaving him in his filth all the time. He would piss or shit in his diaper in bed, and they wouldn't have the staff on hand to clean it up in time. So he started getting rashes and bed sores, and he would have bleeding wounds between his thighs from just sitting in diarrhea for hours on end, and just, so we finally got him out of there and got him home, and we were caring for him in home, and I would, mix up his food, inject it in the feeding tube with all of his medicine and stuff. I would give him sponge baths. I would change his diapers for him. I would sit there and, talk with him. I would roll him joints because the only thing that he ever, the one thing that he held on to throughout all of it, throughout when I didn't even know if he knew who I was, whenever I'd break out that grinder and weed and start rolling up a joint, he'd fucking start looking at me out of his one good eye, the good side of his face, and reaching out, trying to fucking get me to pass him the joint. So I would let him smoke the joint, and he would finally chill out. That was the only thing that could calm him down in the later stages. But I say all this to say, he had a physical therapist when we got him home, and we were caring for him in home. We had physical therapy that would come in-house a couple times a week for an hour and help him move his legs, try to talk with him, play music for him, do brain exercises to try to get responses out of him, and try to help him recover from these strokes to a point where he had a quality of life, and knew what was going on around him. So this lady would come in the mornings and do physical therapy with him, and I would get him cleaned up before his physical therapy appointment. She was a really nice old lady, always super on top of everything. I'm too blessed to be stressed. How you doing today?
Is that what she said?
Yes. Always had a rhyme, for being awake and being above ground, and every day above ground is a blessing. And
this lady should have a podcast.
Yeah, she was awesome, man. She was the best, and she would come do his physical therapy with him, and I would sponge bath him before she got there, and get him sat up in bed and kind of get him ready. Hey, physical therapy's coming. She's gonna work with you for an hour. I'm gonna be in the living room playing my games, because I would go and just play Xbox. I had a little baby monitor with a video and sound, and I would set it up by his bed and go and play Xbox. And we lived in the tattoo shop at this time. He was a tattoo artist who owned a tattoo shop, Motor City Tattoos, and he lived in the back room. The back room was a kitchen and his bedroom. So his bed was in there, and I'd be in the front room playing Xbox, playing Halo or whatever, and I'd have my little baby monitor so I could check it and make sure he wasn't getting his mitten off or trying to pull his stents out or rolling out of bed or whatever, needing anything, and I could hear him if he would start groaning or needing something. So I'd be playing my games, watching him, and she would come do physical therapy, and I'd be out there playing my games. So one day, about half an hour before the physical therapy lady's going to show up, I'm out there. I go in there. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30. I go in there, and he has shit his diaper and needs a bath, and he's very particularly active and lively this morning. And Rachel, his girlfriend, has gone to school. She was in school for massage therapy at the time. She was going to become a chiropractor.
So his girlfriend was sticking around through all
she
this?
lived with us. She slept on the couch. She was Superwoman, man. She was taking
that's cool.
She took the brunt of the care. I helped out a lot, but dude, it was tough for me, man. I was I was 18, 19, 20-year-old kid trying to take care of my sick dad, having to change his diapers and stuff. It was kind of mentally taxing on me having to change.
Sure.
And my dad was a badass biker dude. This was a take no prisoners. He was take no prisoners, but he literally spent years in prison. He was
did?
Yeah, this was a hardcore dude. He lived a hard life. He was a badass guy. I don't really know. I have to ask my mom what it was actually for, but I think he did years.
You never talked to him
He
about
did
it,
time
really?
in federal penitentiary. No, I did, but he would always deflect and make jokes about it. He always said I went to acting school. He said, they sent me to acting school because I had to learn how to act right. That's what it was. They sent me to acting school to learn how to act right because I didn't know how to act right in society. Funny. So I had to go to acting school for a little while, for a few years, and learn how to act.
I wish I would have gotten to meet your dad.
Yeah, he was a very funny guy and had a very high social IQ to the point, like he was always the fucking life of the party. Yeah. When Freddie showed up, Freddie was like the guy, and he could make anyone laugh. He was a good, funny fucking comedian, social guy.
That's awesome.
But so I was sponge bathing him, changed his diaper because it was all shitty before the physical therapist showed up. Changed his diaper, sponge bath him, get him up. He's very lively this morning, really trying to fucking chew his little mitten off of his hand, trying to pull his stents out, looking me in the eye, batting at me, trying to get me to leave him alone, not to change his diaper and clean him up. Maybe he didn't want to do physical therapy that day. He was nonverbal, so I didn't know what he's thinking, but he was fucking boxing with me that morning. Wow. But I got him cleaned up, and I let him know that she was coming, and I let her know, or I had emailed just to let him know, hey, just come on in, because I was tired of getting my game interrupted. I let him know.
Yeah, you can't have that.
Yeah, man, I was trying to play some Halo, and I'm watching him on my baby monitor. I'm tired of having to get up from an online match and go and run and open the door for her. So I had emailed her and just let her know, just come on in. It's no problem. He's got him cleaned up.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting her to just come in. So I'm waiting on watching the baby monitor to see. I don't get an email response or anything, but when she's supposed to show up at 10 or so, she doesn't just come in. I hear the door knocking back in the kitchen, and I'm like, fuck, man, I don't want to break away from my game, but I hear her pounding on the door. So I shut down my game. I go out there to let her in, and as I'm walking to let her in, I mean, it kind of smells like shit in there. Yeah. But I'm like, it must be the diaper from earlier. It must be maybe the towels from earlier in the laundry room. I can smell them. So I go and I open the door, and it's not the regular lady that helps my dad. It's not the old, sweet, kind lady. It's this beautiful
raccoon,
young intern. She's probably my age, 19, 20, college age nursing intern. Fucking drop dead gorgeous. Standing there, first fucking day, just ready. Hey, I'm here for so-and-so, for Pam or whoever. She sent me in place. She has another client she has to get to today, but I'm here to do the physical therapy with Fred. And I'm just like, fuck. Okay, sure. Come on in. Yeah, no problem. That's fine. Here he is. He's right over here. And so I let her in. I closed the door behind her. And now I'm fucking panicking because I can really smell the shit.
Oh, yeah.
And he's fucking sitting there with his glove, fucking looking at me all wild haired, and I see that there is just shit fucking streaming out of his diaper and running down his legs, and he's got his bad hand that he fucking can't really move very well is in the shit, and he's trying to fucking move his bad hand out of the shit with his gloved hand, so he's getting shit all over his glove. And I mean, he's waving his fucking good hand with the glove on it like a pugilist with shit all over it. Whoa. And this beautiful girl is just standing there looking at me, looking at him. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry. Just hang on just 1 second. So I go over to him and get him back up in the bed, and I'm taking his diaper off and trying to clean the shit off of his balls and off of his inner thighs.
Floppy wieners just flopping around?
And he's got it. My dad had a huge cock. Like, dude.
And it was right in front of her?
Yeah. Big old huge fucking monster dong.
Giant dude, shitty cock.
Definitely a shower. Like, he's just flopping and I'm trying to get him cleaned up, and I don't stop to get fucking proper rubber gloves on and everything and do it the right way because I'm all flustered because she's standing there in the kitchen with me, and I'm running over to try to get him cleaned up, and he's got shit all over his gloved hand, and he's trying to push me away from him. So he's wiping his shit across my fucking face and across my fucking eyebrows.
Like, Dad, you're getting poop on me.
Shit. And I'm just like trying to hold his hand down while I'm cleaning the shit off his balls and while I'm trying to get a new diaper on him, and this poor fucking intern nurse is just here to do his physical therapy, and there's like calming like Chick Corea music playing in the background with like a babbling brook, and I'm covered in shit, my dad's covered in shit. He's trying to now bite the Velcro of the boxing glove off of his hand, which is covered in shit.
Yeah.
So he's now getting his own shit like almost in his mouth. And the girl finally is just like, it's okay, like we'll just reschedule, and is like backing out the door, and I'm like, no, it's fine, like I'll just get him cleaned up, and she's just like, no, I'll call Pam and we'll get it rescheduled, and backs out the door and fucking peels out of there, drives away, and leaves me covered in shit.
You're like, look, bitch, this is the life you chose.
Yeah,
all right.
My dad covered in shit, him trying to fucking bite his boxing glove off, and I mean, I got him cleaned up and everything, but I'm just like sweaty, fucking his dick's
intense.
Flopping all over the place.
That's about as bad as it can
I'm
get.
all stressed out. Yeah, like, dude, it was horrible in the moment.
That's
situation.
an epic
like,
first date.
There's poop. Yeah, literally. This
Wow.
chick just like watching me getting covered in my dad's feces and him trying to eat his poop off his boxing glove hand. Yeah, dude, it was horrible in the moment. Obviously, I was like filled with things. I thought I was gonna shit my own pants. What I was doing.
I'm
in
sure
that
if you
moment.
did, like, no one even would have noticed.
But then the look in my dad's eyes, and like me just like sitting down in the chair after it was all done and it was all cleaned up, and like I look at my dad and he's just like looking at me like an innocent, sheepish, oh, dude, I just was like busted up laughing. I was just like it was like a breaking point for me, like taking care of him and doing his feeding tube and sponge bathing him and changing his diaper and watching out for him, making sure he didn't fall out of bed, and giving him his meds. And you know, I'm trying to play my video games, and also I worked in the tattoo shop too. Like the tattoo shop was still open. I was still doing tattoos. My brother and I were still tattooing while my dad's sick in the back room, you know, from all his strokes. So like all of this shit was just piling on, and it was tough to keep up with. But just this moment of just the shit hitting the fan for me while this beautiful girl just watched it all happen was just the fucking breaking point to where I just like started laughing about it.
That is
just like laughing
story.
Hysterically, just like couldn't believe that this happened to me, that this was real, that just really happened.
Yeah.
And I was just like, if this was ever a movie, I was like, I need to find a way to tell this comically. I need to find a way for this scene in the movie to be funny. You know, how horrific it is, it's still like, I need to find a way for this to be tragically hilarious. You know,
I feel like if we had unlimited funds, I feel like we could make a pretty great film out of our lives.
Yeah.
Stuff that's happened. Like that would be an epic scene in a movie.
Dude, and just the culmination of it all, him being a biker and being this hardcore dude and like not being the best father, but like still trying near the end of his life, but then having these strokes and being completely incapacitated and not being able to care for himself. And then this kind of air of maybe he didn't want to be in that situation because he's always trying to pull his stents out of his chest and his dialysis
like he'd
tubes
rather
out.
just
Like,
go out.
yeah, maybe he didn't want, you know, but he couldn't communicate that to me.
Yeah.
But I literally like would ask him. I would stop and ask him, and I would look into his eyes and talk to him and ask him, like, do you want this? Do you want to live? Do you want to keep going? Do you want to keep doing this every day? And I wouldn't really get a no from it. He would like look at me and just like nod, you know, like look at me like he didn't know for sure what I was saying, but he would just nod. But he would shake his head no at certain things too. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like there was some level of understanding. Like, so it was just, I just didn't know if he wanted to die or not, you know, but because when I would sit there and talk to him and ask him, he would like nod his head like, yes, I do want to live. Yes, I do want to keep going, type of thing. So it was like really tough.
If he didn't want to live, you would have had to drive him back to Oregon to get him.
Yeah, the euthanasia. Yeah. I think they did end up after I moved, I finally moved back to Oregon, and my brothers, John and Casey and everyone, were still out there with him, and they did eventually decide that like he had deteriorated and his physical therapy wasn't helping. He wasn't showing any improvement, and he was getting more and more like agitated all the time and less understanding of what was going on. They just stopped that's how he died, was they stopped his feeding tube. It was really? They just stopped feeding him through the tube because he couldn't feed himself. So
that's how he died? Like he just died of malnutrition?
Yeah, I think that's what
like
actually
in a hospital?
Yeah, I think that's what ended up.
Why would they do that?
I'm not really sure, because of the law. That's the law. You can't.
That sounds horrible.
You can't assist suicide.
He essentially starved to death?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's not the way.
That's way worse than just like
than if
letting
they would have
him die
flown him here
right
to
there
Oregon.
and right then and there. Just
Right.
like let him die in his sleep.
Yeah. But
That's
they can't.
fucked
But the
up.
law is they can't kill him. You know, and the choice was either to continue. The choice was basically like, what do we think he wants? Does he want to just go out and to just die, or does he want us to keep feeding him through the tube, and him laying in bed and us turning him every couple hours or so? Like, that was his whole life. Was he couldn't move, he couldn't do anything, he couldn't talk, he couldn't communicate, we couldn't tell what he was thinking or what he wanted. So it was just put the food and the meds through the feeding tube, do his dialysis twice a week, and just wait until he dies of natural causes, or just stop feeding him, because the law is you can't kill him. We can't just like inject, I guess, except in Oregon there's the death with dignity or whatever. But at that time,
horrible.
I agree. I think we have it right here in Oregon. I think the death with dignity, if someone can fucking choose, if someone is so sick and has no possibility of surviving and they're like, I don't want to keep living this way, I want to die. If someone in their right mind can say that they don't want to continue living, we should honor that and not starve them to death, not just stop feeding them so that they just
way
die.
Worse.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Like, that's torturous.
It's cruel. Yeah, it's definitely cruel.
Who would want to? I mean, think about how painful it is and how aggravating it is to like have not eaten for 6 hours.
Yeah. Dude, when I haven't eaten
I'm
yet.
just like, kill me now.
I haven't eaten yet
somehow.
today, and it's horrible. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to die.
Going days
There's a
and
black
days.
hole in my stomach.
And there is a major difference between quality of life and just simply being alive.
Yeah.
If you can't wipe yourself, you can't talk to the people that you know and love,
and it
you
got
can't
to
move. You can't.
And it was to the point where it's like his character in life when he was all there before he had the strokes. Would that man have wanted his 20-year-old son to have to change his diapers and keep him alive through a feeding tube? I really don't think so. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, I'm participating in something I don't believe in.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know exactly how everyone else felt about it. It was a really difficult situation at the time, and looking back on it, I'm not super clear on all the details and how everyone else handled it, because I was just in so much crisis myself, trying to figure out how I felt about it and how I was going to handle it. But the more I took care of him, the more I had to do, and the more I watched him every day, the more I was like, this is not what he would have wanted. This is not what I would want for myself. This is just wrong, you know? But it's like, at this point, he didn't die from the strokes, and I'm not going to leave him in the fucking Medicare facility where they let him sit in his own shit every day. And I can't kill him. I can't just smother him with a pillow.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do I do? What are my options? And there's no death with dignity law there. So the option is, if I think we have to weigh the decision, would he rather die of starvation or continue living with the knowledge that our quality of life is suffering because of him? And I just figured with the character of who he was as a person, like, he would much rather just die of anything than have to, put his family through that or live that way, be bedbound and not know where he is or who he is or how to wipe his ass or be able to move. Like, he didn't want that shit.
I mean, that is a
I feel
huge
guilty
burden for someone that age to take on.
I feel guilty for for keeping him alive as long as we did, I also feel guilty for the way he died, but just, he lived a fucking hard ass life. He signed up for some crazy shit. So that's the story of cleaning up my dad's fucking poop all over him. And
overall,
it's a funny story to me.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
When you really look at it.
Just the image to me, like, if you put some fucking yakety sax and sped it up to 2 times, me trying to clean up my dad's fucking poop while he's hitting me in the face with a poopy boxing glove
and his wiener's flopping around
in front of this beautiful
girl there watching it all.
I'm just like rushing around with poop on my face. Like, it's funny to me to imagine that scene in a comedy movie.
Oh man, that is a really amazing story.
Yeah,
you really painted it pretty well too.
I feel like I got bogged down in some of the early details, but just trying to set the scene for it.
No, yeah. I mean, it was worth it. You built it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Funny. Rest in peace, old man.
Yeah. It's too bad I didn't get to meet him.
I know. I think about that a lot too, like with Jennifer. I wish he would have got to meet Jennifer. He would have loved Jennifer. He probably would have tried to take her from me. And my kids too, like thinking about him not getting to meet my kids and stuff. Like that's sad. I wish they had my dad as their grandpa because he was a funny fucking guy.
Yeah, Hannah never got to meet my mom either.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It's tough. It's just sad to think about, you know, what could have been,
Yeah.
It's also, I don't know, it's also kind of nice to think about too, like how would my dad have interacted with Jennifer? And so it makes me smile to think about it because he probably would have just gave me endless amounts of shit in front of her.
Probably.
Just tried to charm her by bringing me down, basically. Tears you into little pieces and makes everyone laugh about how dumb you are. Everyone around you is just in stitches because he's just cutting someone up, you know, making someone, pointing out something stupid that someone did or something like that. But then he was also could be really mean about it. It's hurtful.
Like genuinely mean.
Hurtful, yeah, hurtful when he's yelling at you.
Jesus.
It's just like
it starts out being a joke and then he just gets super serious.
Yeah.
He's like, really though, you are stupid.
Yes, yeah, pretty much, dude.
Damn, man, that was a good story.
Yeah,
so that probably takes the cake on the poop.
So far, yeah. I think that's the best poop thing we've got. I'm trying to think of if there's any other. I'm trying to think of other poop situations. Oh, my brother's
You got another one?
My brother's girlfriend's son. So my brother John was dating this ratchet chick out in Detroit that, funny enough, was like a groupie for the Wu-Tang Clan and like knew Method Man and shit and like banged Method Man. That's beside the. Well, it's kind of part of the point. Her son Kike was like 5 years old when my brother was dating her, and she was super into the culture, and so she wanted her son grew up, you know, idolizing the type of stuff that she looked up to, which was rap artists and rap culture and hip hop culture and shit. And so her little son Kike, you say, Kike, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I want to be a hip hop gangsto. That's what was his famous answer. But he one time took a shit on the floor of the living room. He was 5 years old. My brother Casey and I were playing video games in the living room of John's house, and John and his girlfriend are in the bedroom, and Kike's out there with Casey and I begging us to let him play the game. He's famous little line, "You guys are pretty cool playing that game. Could I play it?" Wow, guys, that game's really cool when you play it. Can I try it? And he would just
really cool
keep doing that, and he could trying to get our attention. Guys, let me play. No, Kike, you can't play. Fucking hops off the couch, walks over to the middle of the hardwood floor, pulls his pants down, staring at the TV screen, and just starts dumping right on the floor. And my brother Casey and I just like don't even know what to do. We're just speechless, looking at each other, and then we just start dying laughing, like calling John out there. We're like, bro, John, get out here. Kike is shitting on the floor. What is going on?
I don't think I would do anything but laugh.
Dude, it was so funny. I was like, sorry, Kike, you ain't never going to be no gangster. You take your shit on the floor, bro.
Or that might be the most gangster thing he could have done.
That's true. You guys won't let me play the game. I'll shit on your floor.
I'll take a shit on this floor, bitch.
And he did, bro. He didn't give it. And he laughed about it and ran around the house with poop all over his little butt.
Kike made a caca.
Yeah.
I was hoping that.
That's his first album, bro.
DJ Caca. I was hoping that lady that you said rhymed about everything. That was your dad's original, like, caretaker or whatever.
Oh, yeah. But she always had like a little saying like that for like how happy she was or how upbeat she was, and it was always like, Lord Jesus is here to please us type of thing. Like I too blessed to be. Rhyme. It was always like a religiously themed rhyme about being happy, and it was just super infectious. She was the best.
Oh yeah, man. People like that, they're either very uplifting and infectious in a good way, or they're infuriating.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, things aren't that awesome.
Right.
Just shut up.
Just depending on your own mood.
Yeah,
like if you're
a
Scrooge. I remember there was people in high school like that. People that were just like always so happy and genuinely nice that I just like was so suspicious of them. I was I don't actually
it's weird,
like that person because they're so nice to me. And people are like, what are you talking about?
It just smells weird.
Yeah, you know? It's just
sniff it out.
You're always this fucking happy and upbeat and cheerful. Like, But not this lady. She seemed like she had a legitimate reason all the time.
You're just like, I'm sorry, my dad, the diarrhea. I'm sorry, it's her instead of the hot girl.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, it's all right. Diarrhea ain't no thing to me.
Yeah.
As long as I got my sangria.
That would have been her. I really wish she would have been. It wouldn't have made for as good of a story. Well, maybe it would have been a better story. Maybe she would have jumped right in there and started boxing with him. The poopy boxing
that
glove.
would have
Who
been
knows?
maybe better, but the fact that a hot girl was standing there, I think, really made it.
It really, in my mind, it just made it that much more horrifying and embarrassing and terrible. It can't go any worse than this now.
That really, like, when I was picturing it playing out as you were describing it, I was like, oh my God, it can't get any worse than this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and his dick and balls were flopping out. And
Yeah.
Poop was on my face and he was punching me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right, it got worse.
Yeah. And this lady's here to do physical therapy, and she's like, I'm not going to do physical therapy on this guy. He's punching his own son in the face with a poopy boxing glove. Like, what? Is this what Pam comes and deals with every day? How come she always has a rhyme for being happy if she deals with this every day?
Yeah, she must have just seen so much of it. She's just like, well, my sadness has been converted into excitement about the Lord. Speaking of rhymes, so a new segment I want to incorporate, hopefully by the next episode.
Yeah.
Called Topical Freestyle. So at any time during the podcast, you or I or anyone else who's on, at any point they want, can say topical freestyle. And the person that's supposed to be freestyling, as soon as the other person says that, has to make a rhyme over a beat about the last thing that we were talking about.
Okay. Sounds
And
dope.
you have to go for like at least like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So I'll just like make a quick little 30-second beat and just drop it in and just be like, topical freestyle.
That sounds awesome.
And you got to just be like, all right.
Yeah, so we're just talking about anything, world politics, and
Yeah.
it's just like, all right, freestyle, and then you have to freestyle about
Just
that.
to keep us on our toes.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. What is that thing, right? What is that thing on your countertop? Is that a neti pot?
It's a humidifier.
Oh, okay. It is a relaxing smell in here.
Yeah. And it glows like really warm colors as it's going.
Nice.
You're just like,
Relaxing.
Yeah.
Like a lava lamp. I had a lava lamp when I was a kid, and I loved it. Lava lamps and hourglass.
Hourglasses?
Yeah, I just like those two things. I love to watch them. I'd turn an hourglass upside down and watch it the whole time.
Yeah.
I just turn a lava lamp on and just watch the globs go around and just have nothing in my brain. I think I was a really dumb kid. Just meditating while I looked at a lava lamp. Just
well, you can't be dumb if you were meditating.
There's nothing in your head. You're dumb. So there's
supposedly that's what enlightens you.
Yeah.
Is to have nothing in your head.
Right.
So I'm like, shit, I'm halfway there.
I feel like the smarter I am, the more things I can have in my head. That's how I judge my smartness. So if I have a lot of things in my head, I feel super smart. If I'm clear-headed, I feel dumb.
That's how Western society views it.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought you were going to say like Western, like cowboys. That's how they viewed it in the West.
That's how the old West viewed it.
Yeah.
All that meditation's for pussies.
You got no thoughts in your head. You must be dumb, boy. I got thoughts about cattle. I got thoughts about horses. I got thoughts about women. I got thoughts about grass.
You can't even count my thoughts.
You can't even count how many thoughts, how many fence posts I can think about. The fence I'm thinking about right now is fucking huge.
You know how many nails that's going to take? I don't either, but I'm thinking about it is what I'm saying. All right, you got to think about it.
I can count a lot of nails.
I can count a lot of nails.
We'll edit this out. It's fine.
It's all right.
And with that, I think Shogun Jones is going to have to be out of here.
And vasectomy Rogers. Also, Justin Burt.
Yeah, Vince DeVilla. We're signing out. That's us. This is us signing off.
We're signing out. I hope you enjoyed that one.
Thanks for listening. Go check out Wingsuits.
Listen to your friends on this one. Get a wingsuit.
Yeah. Ooh.
And
I don't want to be responsible for that.
And just get good at it. Don't die the first few times.
That's the thing. That's how they get good, is just by doing it a few times and not dying at it. Really, I have my wingsuit on. I'll jump off.
All right, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
It is. Cut it off.